and let's get this party started. All right. I don't know if you saw in my email this workout. I titled it Let's Race. So the reason that I titled it that is because this is going to kind of be a race simulation kind of workout, which will be kind of interesting because it is going to try to simulate the efforts of racing, which, interestingly enough, depending on what kind of race it is, you can spend a lot of time in your zone 3 in a race. So before I get into the details, you know the drill. You have your towel, your fan, your water bottle. Get yourself in a nice, easy gear, which I'm sure you're probably already in. And we're just going to spin our legs here until we get to the part where we start to really get warmed up, which will get us going and ready for our race. So when you do a bike race, interestingly enough, you're probably, depending on if it's a road race, a time trial, a criterium, a circuit, whatever it might be, you're going to want to warm up before the race starts. So that'll be kind of like the beginning of our workout. And let's say I was doing a road race that was 40 miles long. I would probably warm up for maybe 30 to 45 minutes, just so I had the body ready to get in the action as soon as it happens. So it's not just get out there and get in the race. It's good to get warmed up. Doing exactly what we do for most of our workouts is that we spin our legs a little bit, get in our opener, and then get to the main set. That's kind of how a race simulation goes, or even a race itself. You get to the race, you go get your packet, your number, or depending on what level of racing you're at. If you're on the pro level, typically your director, sportif, or someone on the team gets all the numbers. And then on the pro level, you have to sign in, which means that you have to go to a designated location and you have to sign in to let them know that you're there, available, and ready to race. If you don't sign in and you win the race, you're not winning the race because you're not eligible to be there because you didn't sign in. So, important aspects on the pro level when you get to racing. On the local level, it's the same thing, but you're pretty much picking up your number at a table, and by you signing the waiver, then that's like signing in on a pro level. You do have to hold a license through USA Cycling to race domestically. If you race on an international stage, you have to have a UCI license. So there's different ways and different organizations that are responsible for races in the United States and races globally. If you're racing just in the United States, it's called domestic racing because you're racing just here in the domestic US. And there are races in all parts of the country. Obviously, East Coast, West Coast, Colorado, probably the most. And then scattered in between. I'm not sure about places like Alabama or Louisiana, how racing would be in those states. But for the most part, there is good racing in California, Colorado, and here in this area. So if you're interested in racing, something to consider. All right, so let's get this going a little further. We're going to do a little progression every minute for 5 minutes just to get us started. I want you to stay in the gear that you're in. I want you to hold the highest cadence that you can. Each minute we are going to shift to one harder gear. And I want you to try to maintain that same cadence as we move through this. So stay where you are, pick up your cadence. If you can get it to 100, that's great. Because remember, this is opening up the legs, getting the workout going. Hoping we get some lactic acid to start building up so that we can get a good warm up in, get us ready for what's going to happen in the main part of our race today. I don't know if any of you guys were able to get out last weekend. Randy and I got out on Saturday. I think it was Saturday. And we kind of waited for it to warm up a little bit. It was warm, but then halfway through our ride, the wind started to kick up. One harder gear. Hold that cadence nice and high. So we thought we were all happy. Randy was down to like a jersey and shorts. He peeled off his vest, his arm warmers. And then the temperatures dropped. The wind kicked up. By the time we got home, he was freezing. But we did. It felt good to get out, ride outside. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about when we get back outside again, what to expect. Keep that cadence high. Now, obviously, as we move through this, each gear change might change that cadence. Another shift to a harder gear. When we get in these warm-up sections, it's good to start kind of listening to your body. Hear your breathing start to change. If you're in a heart rate monitor, start to see your heart rate increasing. If you're using power, the same thing goes for that. Coming up on 3 minutes. We're doing a total of 5. Another shift to a harder gear. The legs may be feeling a little burn now. This is also when you can start thinking about that pedal stroke. Are you pedaling evenly? Does it feel smooth? Are you relaxed in your upper body? We have one more shift. 3, 2, one more shift. Last time. This last shift may really change your cadence a bit. That's okay. Stick with the effort. Turn on your fan if you need it. Last 15. Hold them tight. 5, 3, 2, 1. Back up to the top. Nice and easy. Take a drink. All right. How is this going to go? So this first block is 5, 6, 7, about 10 minutes long. All right, you've done a 10-minute effort before. So what I want you to think about here is, in a race, surprisingly, people don't realize that there might be people jumping around, trying to get away from the group. But if you're just sitting in the whole time, you're going to pretty much stay around your zone 3, but you'll have a few efforts sprinkled in between there. And that's what this is going to look like. We have some efforts where we're going to jump or sprint or change our cadence, speed up, get in a different gear, and it's all going to happen super fast. So paying attention to what's going on is going to be key to this section and all the sections after it. You'll get a nice 3-minute rest after this effort is done. So the way it's going to start, we're going to do a 10-second sprint to start off. Because believe me, no race starts with just a bunch of casual riders riding down the road. Everybody jumps off the line. Then you'll settle in. We're going to settle into a nice 4-minute effort at a good endurance pace. Then you're going to cover a move. What does covering a move mean? That means that if somebody takes off the front, you might have been charged with the role of, you got to try to get that person and bring them back. There's lots of strategy in bike racing. So you're going to cover that, get a little sprint out of it, come back to a nice solid endurance effort, and then we're going to sprint out of the saddle to finish that set. So I want you to get in your big ring, down to your 15. You're going to give me a good 10-second out of the saddle sprint to get us started. 3, 2, 1, let's go. Come on. The race has started. The gun went off. Everybody's pushing hard to get placed. Sitting back down. Go all the way up to the top of your cassette. Keep it in that big ring. To spin the legs. Feel a little bit of this effort. We're settling in. People are whizzing past you. You're moving through the pace. Best part is to be right in the middle of the group. If you're at the top of your cassette, give me 1, 2, 3. Harder gears. Down to your small ring. Get your cadence up. 95 or higher. Now this is when the fun begins. You're just sitting in. If it's a big group, Where's the best place to be? Right smack in the middle with about 2 rows of riders in front of you. So why there? Well, first off, being right smack in the middle, you're protected on all sides. So as a result, you're barely working. So if you know, in a pace line, it's a lot easier to be behind a couple of people than to be in the front. Well, if you have a rider in front, rider on all sides, and behind you, you are like a cocoon. You are totally protected inside that peloton. So this effort right now is simulating that. Just sitting in. If you have power heart rate or rate of perceived exertion, you should be in zone 3 or about maybe a 7 on the scale, 6, 7. Not super hard. We're almost at 2 minutes. We're going to go 2 more. If through any of this you need to take a drink, go ahead and do that. Because that's what you would be doing in the race. The hardest part, eating and drinking while you're racing. It has to become a really bike, water bottle, person connection. You're constantly going to that water bottle and picking that food out of your pocket. Keep your blood sugar level nice and even and give the body the nutrients that it needs. All right, we're coming up on 3 minutes here. After this next minute's done, when I count it down, I want you to increase your cadence to about 105. If you want, if you have to shift, you're welcome to do so. If you can stay in this gear and make that happen, it's even better. Force you to work a little harder. Make it feel like a race. Some parts of a race are easy, but the hard parts are always hard. So in 15, for 1 minute, we're going to increase that cadence to 105 to 110. If you need an easier gear, 3, 2, 1, get to that gear. Keep it smooth. You already have a nice cadence going. Pushing the effort a little harder. Working on that leg speed. What's going to happen next is Wayne, since he has to go later, he's going to try to jump off the front, get finished before the rest of us. So we have to chase him down. When I count it down, I want you to go into 2 to 3 harder gears, out of the saddle for 30 seconds. Find that gear. 3, 2, 1. Go get Wayne. He just jumped. Don't let him go. If we get him back, we get to settle back in to a 3-minute effort. Keep it going. We almost have him. 3, 2, 1. Sitting down. Back up to that 19, which is 4 gears down from the top. Settle back in. You caught him? Now we're going to sit here for 3 minutes. Now, what's the first thing you can imagine I typically would do? Take a drink. Whenever there's a lull in the action, that's when it's good to take advantage of drinking and eating. Settle in. Get control. You should feel your breathing kind of coming down a little bit. That cadence, 90 to 100. I think 95 would be perfect. After this 3 minutes, somebody else is going to kind of increase the pace a little bit. So typically, what teams will do, and remember, cycling is a team sport. Even though one person wins, the team helps that person to get to the win. Most racers can't get to the finish line first without their team. Of course, when you race at the lower levels, when you're first getting in the ranks, you might not have any teammates. What do you do then? You use other teams to help you get to where you want to go. So next, that team's going to get to the front. They're going to increase the pace. You're going to give me a minute with that cadence at 105 plus. If you need an easier gear, go ahead and get there. 3, 2, 1. Pick up your cadence. Pick up the effort. Stay in the game. Everybody's jostling for position or jockeying for position. Because what's going to happen after this, we're going to have a 30-second sprint. What's that going to be? A sprint for preem. What's a preem? It's a prize in the middle of the race, just to keep the race going. Get ready for that. You're going to shift 2 or 3 gears harder. Find those gears out of the saddle. Let's go. Who's going to win the preem? 30 seconds to get to that line. Leslie's looking pretty strong. Who's going to catch her? Five seconds to the line. 3, 2, 1. Easy gear. Nice recovery. Good job. Leslie hit that line first. She got the preem. Take a drink. Let your heart rate come down. So I'll tell you my best Preem story. So there's a race called the Tour of Somerville in Somerville, New Jersey. It's the oldest continuous race on the East Coast. It's a course that rides around downtown Somerville. And most criterium courses are supposed to be 0.99 of a distance. I think Somerville might be a little longer than that. But it's a very popular race for domestic racers. And there are some professionals from across the pond that participate. So I was fortunate enough to do that race 3 or 4 times, I'm not really sure. So in one of the races, when I was racing with Advil Chapstick, I hear Joe Sailing, who is the announcer, say, Preem lap on the next lap. Everybody get ready for the Preem lap. We have for this lap a $50 gift card to the TikTok Diner in Somerville. So one of our team goals was for everybody to go for a Preem. So I said, all right, I'm going to go for this one. So of course, when there's a Preem lap, the pace increases. Everybody wants to go for it. Not that this was a super great prize. I get a couple of my teammates to help me get to the line. And lo and behold, I win the Preem. Wow. To win a Preem in Somerville is huge. At least it was for me. So I was all excited. I won this Preem. At the end of the race, I go over to the table. I see Joe's wife, Dottie. She's like, yeah, congratulations on winning that Preem. I'm like, yeah, I know it's not the greatest Preem in the world, but at least my name's there. She hands me the gift certificate. I don't even really look at it. I get back to my car. It was for $5, not $50. Who can buy anything in a diner for $5? I don't even think you can get a cup of coffee for $5 nowadays. So I still have that just because I think it's funny that I won a Preem at Somerville for $5. All right, so what's next? Next, we're going to kind of do a couple of efforts to push us a little more in this race. We're going to start off at a nice even pace, pick up the effort a little, pick it up even more, and then sprint it out for 1 minute. So let's get into our big ring this time. You can stay at the top of your cassette. I want you to be somewhere at 80 to 90 cadence, keeping it at that zone 3 effort. It's just going to be 2 minutes here as we move through this 2, 3, 4, 5-minute effort. Each minute or two, well, after the first 2 minutes, actually, each minute after that, it's going to just build and build and build. So that's what typically happens at the end of a race. Or, like I just said, if there's a Preem, it might be a build to that Preem, and then it dies down again. So we're building to a potential Preem. Let's hope your Preem is more than $5. I'm sure if I went to try to use that at the TikTok Diner now, they say, no, I'm sorry, it's expired. Stay in the game. Not too hard yet. Don't have your cadence any higher than 90. You're going to build this. Keep control. That's the key to staying in a race, is not jumping at everything that goes. All right, you're going to stay in that gear. You're going to increase your cadence, 90 to 100. So if you were at 85, try to get it at 95. Now it's just starting to build. You might have some teammates with you. Where are you going to be? Behind your teammates, so they can drag you up to that section where you're going to sprint off of them. After this effort, you're going to either go up a gear or down a gear based on what you need to bring that cadence up to 100. Here we go. Increase that cadence. It's getting hot now. It's really going. The hardest part, when the effort starts to increase, is can you hold your positioning? If you drop all the way to the back, you're out of it. If you can stay in that top 20, good place to be. All right, we're coming to the last minute. Increase that cadence even more. Let's go. 3, 2, last minute. We're going to work this in the final 15. So save just a little bit. The elbows are getting out. People want to have room so they can work to get to that second preem on the race. Give me one harder gear, another harder gear, one more, out of the saddle, let's go. 10 seconds. 3, 2, 1, small ring, easy gear, woo. Nice job. Recover. 2 minutes easy. Get a drink. It's a 2-pager. We're going to settle in after this. To a 4-minute effort. It's going to have a lot of jumping around with a little bit of rest. The hardest part about this one is the fact that you don't get a lot of rest. I want you to push yourself through this. It's 4 minutes long. It's 45 seconds in your small ring at 100 to 110, pushing yourself into zone 4 or to that place where the legs really start to hurt. Then you're going to get 15 seconds where you're going to go a little harder gear, spin that even higher, and then right back into another 45. So it's 45, 15, 45, 15, 45, 15, 45, 15. Every one of these is going to be in your small ring. That effort being high cadence is what's going to keep you keeping the effort at a high heart rate. Because as you know, the higher the heart rate, or the higher the cadence, the higher the heart rate. All right, so small ring, pick a gear, not too easy. You're going to hold at least 100. Let's go. 3, 2, 1. Don't go any higher than 100, because remember, you're going to increase this from 100 to 100 plus for 15. It's only 4 minutes. The race is getting a little spicy. People are getting a little anxious, getting closer to the finish line. When I count it down, I want you increasing that cadence. 3, 2, 1, let's go. Pick it up for 15. Then you're going to go back to where you were for that first 45. 3, 2, 1. Back down to 100. Hold it steady. If you have metrics to help you, use them. Power, cadence, heart rate, even speed. That works too. Number 2 out of 4. Don't push too hard here, but be in that cadence. Here we go. 3, 2, let's go. Pick it up. Relax the upper body. Let the legs do the work. 3, 2, back down to 100. When you do this high cadence work, it also helps your leg speed. So when you get to 90, it doesn't feel so bad. So sometimes in a race, teams will just keep sending racers. So send one. If they get caught, send another. If they get caught, send another. Hopefully, one of them sticks. That's what this simulates. 3, 2, bring it up. Come on, just 15 seconds. Pushing out the effort. Three down, back to 100. So my teammate, Betty Tyrell, she and I worked very well at this. When you do an attack like this kind, you want to come from the back or come from a place where nobody's going to see you doing it. So I might jump, be out there for a minute or so. They'd catch me. Next thing you know, there goes Betty. She was a good time trialist. Last one, 3, 2, let's go. Nice high cadence. Nobody's catching you. Get to the last minute. 3, 2, 1. Easy gear. Cool it down. Take a drink. All right, I'm going to give you a little extra recovery. so that we can do the last set. So let me describe this last set. It's a 1 minute lead out, which means it's kind of a little tough. You want to push the pace. We'll use our cadence to help us do that. Gearing, you can stay in your small ring the whole time if you want. If you want to push yourself a little harder, get in that big ring, force yourself. But remember, sometimes it's not always about a super hard gear. I can tell you probably my best sprinting was not in my hardest gear in some circumstances. It might be in my 14 so that I could get leg speed. So once we get that 1 minute lead out, then we're going to back it down for 1 minute. Then it's going to ramp up again for another minute. Then it's going to back down for a minute. And then it's going to ramp up again for a minute. And that's exactly what happens in the finality of a race. It surges and goes and surges and goes and surges and goes because all these teams are trying to get their leader or their team in the right position to get their leader where they want them to be for that final 100 meters. Most people can't sprint further than 50 meters. Tina Pick, she's the only one I know that can sprint from 500 meters and win. So then the last 2 minutes, that last minute, the second to the last minute, it's really getting revved up. And the final minute is an all out with a sprint to the finish in the last 10 seconds. So sounds pretty intense, right? Yeah, it's going to be. So keep it all real. Do what you can. I'll guide you through the cadences and the efforts. This is 6 minutes. 6 minutes. All right. So the first one, small ring around your 17. So if you're 25, 23, 21, 19, 17. Right there. 1 minute. See if you can get it to 100. If you can only get to 90, that's fine. 95 is good. I'm right on the border, so if you're in between, I'm going to hold it around 97. Remember, this is a push, not an ease. We want to push the pace here. We want to force everybody around us to go a little harder than they like. Once we get to that first minute, we're going to back it down to 90. As everybody will settle in. Three, two, one. Bring it down to 90. Stay in the same gear. No need to go to easier. This is when it counts, this last 6 minutes. Keeping the pace nice and steady. Everybody's jockeying for position. A Peloton kind of works like a wheel. It kind of rotates around as people move through the Peloton. We're going to ramp it up again. Bring that cadence up to 100. 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Push yourself. Racing's hard. When you simulate it, you'll get better at those moments. When you're riding with somebody and they're getting a little gap on you, you can close that gap down. Almost it's time to back it down. Stick in there. Bring it down. Bring it down to 90. Okay, we're settling in. The last 3 minutes are the hardest. Find your teammates. If you're losing that wheel, this is when you got to get back on it. It's going to ramp up. You know it's going to happen. Three, two, bringing that cadence up. Let's go. Nice solid minute. And you're going to be on the finishing straight. The intensity is building. The legs are burning. You have to get past that. Lillian's looking like she wants to go. All right, she's jumping. Pick up the pace. Last minute. Stay in control. Keep the pace high. Seconds to go. I'll give you the last 15. You can jump out of the saddle. Give yourself a couple harder gears. Find those gears. Let's go. All the way to the finish line. Three, two, one. Woo. Wow. That was a push. Good job, everybody. Nice, easy. Just spin the legs. Take a drink. Now I know if I ask you right now, how much water did you consume? You're probably going to say, half a bottle. Yep. That's what happens in a race. Because the intensity is so high and you're so concentrated on the effort that's in front of you, you can see why, even on the pro level, these guys bonk. They just die. They're in the mix and then they're not. Their teammates are coming up behind them, pouring water on their back, trying to get them to get back in the race because the intensity is so high, especially when you're doing a shorter circuit race like a criterium or a circuit. And therefore, it's harder to drink because you're in the mix, you're in the moment. The last thing that you're thinking about is taking your hands off the handlebars and grabbing your bottle and taking a drink. While you're going 25 miles an hour down the road. So that's why you see so much carnage in some races. And that's why racing is tough. It is a tough sport. All right, you're going to give you a little bit more spin, and then we're just going to spin this out just to keep our legs fresh. And finish up with some, as you know, I like some quick legs, some light legs, and enough to cool down. That was a tough one. Good job, everybody. That one is no joke. And you got to hear a few of my race stories from the past. I got contacted by the editor of the Bicycle Touring Club of North Jersey, who is actually a friend of ours, Bob DeMare. He was doing a story on National Women's Month, and he wanted to highlight some of the professional women's racers. And he asked me if he could include a picture of me as a club member in that group. Interestingly enough, which I may not have told any of you, I raced against Marianne Vos at the Philadelphia race way back in the day. She had lots of accolades at that point. I'm not sure if she had been world champion on the road or not, but I did stand next to her and say to myself, holy crap, I'm racing with Marianne Vos. So that was pretty cool. All right, I want you to give me one harder gear if you're at the top of your cassette. Pick your cadence up to close to 100. And as you know, remember, keep this really light. No effort. Just let the legs kind of spin around. Don't put any force on the pedals. Feel your feet being nice and light. Allow yourself to feel the legs kind of come back to life after that tough 6-minute finish. Now think about on the pro level, our women racers on the pro peloton, they can be racing anywhere from 62 miles to 100 and plus. They're kind of chilling out in some parts, but if they get in a break, they're burying themselves for as long as they're out front. All right, give me one more easier gear. Keep that cadence nice and high, nice and light. If you didn't hydrate well all day today, you might feel this a little. Maybe the calf muscles are twinging a bit. The hamstrings might be feeling it. We all need to keep that hydration level in place. As you know, I drill into your heads. Keep it light. Feel your heart rate start to come down, even though your leg speed is a little high. You might feel yourself sweating a little bit, but hopefully the sweat will slow down. All right, give me one more easier gear if you have it. If not, turn your cadence down. Bring it down to around 85, 90, which will feel super slow at this point. We're going to get 1 more minute, and then we'll be done for the night. Another fast workout. These things go super fast, especially when we have all this action in place. Action Jackson. All right, feel the legs start to kind of come around. Drink up the last of that water in your bottle. Turn it down even a little bit more. This little fan has been like the best investment ever. All right, 3, 2, 1. Nice, nice job, everybody. Everybody did something. They won a preen. They won the race. You made it happen.